What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Basics Funds Arcade Classics. For you see, the prices have been revealed. The orders can now be placed. But do I recommend that you do so? Do I recommend that you spend your hard-earned money on these home arcade products? Well, it's kind of a complicated question with a pretty simple answer. So let's talk about what happened today and the drama that inevitably follows every single home arcade product release. And it starts with the price. Now, when you send the initial price of this new product out into the ether, into the internet, into the waiting arms and eyeballs of all your fans that have been speculating about this price for months, you really want to nail it. You really want to get this right. Sony famously sent shockwaves through the gaming community when announcing the brand new first ever PlayStation 1. They simply stepped to the podium and said,
$299.
And it was enough to get everybody talking, but it definitely was a price that was a shock and a welcome surprise to everybody that was awaiting this product. Is that what happened with this? No, it's really not at all. So to recap kind of where we were at least my thought process, the line of arcade cabinets that were going to debut first was going to be the Ultra and the Countercade. Now they have a Supreme and Ultra and the Counter series, and then there's the handhelds, which absolutely no one cares about. And based on the results of the last poll that I had on the 200th episode of this week's show, I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen now, you can see that not everybody was really excited about those two products. They sort of scored last, coming in, fourth and third, just behind I Don't Care and Supreme. Everybody seems to be really interested and curious about the Supreme series, less so about these two products. So they already kind of had the deck stacked against them coming out with these two products. But when they announced the price, it was just a gut punch, and it was a big, big thumbs down. Now, I always thought that these were going to debut at about $499, $500. That's what the price was for the deluxes, and the Ultras being similar to, but lacking a few features. No online play, fewer games in some cases. We'll talk about that in just a second. No coin door. So a few things were missing, so it wasn't quite apples to apples, but still I thought $500 would be where they would jump in because that's an established price. That was not the price that we initially saw today. So initially we saw $599, $600 for the Ultra series, which is basically just, in my opinion, a tall peasant cade with a lit marquee. It's got a lit marquee, sure. But other than that, it doesn't really have anything else going on, at least with the peasant cades, the Mortal Kombat version specifically. It's got Wi-Fi. I mean, even if it had leaderboards, that would be something. Now, it's not the most important thing to everybody, but when you're trying to justify a price, it's another box you can absolutely check in that category. Didn't have it here. Debuted at $599, $600. Now, we're talking about two cabinets in particular. The only two that actually came out. The Ultra series is going to have several cabinets. We know Star Wars is out there. That's not what happened today. Today, we saw WrestleFest, WWE WrestleFest, and then the Atari Centipede cabinet. So the Atari Centipede cabinet is going to have a lot of games on it, a lot of Atari games, some arcades, some consoles, but you're not going to have that with the Ultra Series WWE. That cabinet's not going to have that many on there. I think you're going to have a total of 5 games on that. If I got that wrong, I'll put the right number down here. So $599 was way more than most of us expected, and it was definitely not something I was interested in at all. When I posted the initial, screenshot of this, I said, I'm out. I'm done. But lo and behold, a coupon code showed up that dropped the price down to $499. So now we have an Ultra cabinet that's coupon coded down $100 within hours of its initial release. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here right now. Basic Fun, you screwed up on this one. You absolutely dropped the ball. But the price now is $499, at least the coupon-coded price. So before we move on to the Counter series, let's just wrap up the Ultra right now, and I'm not going to recommend you buy this at all. Because being priced at $499, I think we kind of assume that you're going to have coupon prices, discount prices, sales of, maybe $30 here, $50 here. That gets this down to around $450, which I think is better suited for this product, given the lack of features it has when compared to something comparable, in this case, RK1UP's Deluxe Series. But at $599, even though you're only going to pay $499 now, your real price is going to be $600. So unless you jump in right now, the price is going to go back up to $600, and then discount pricing will be around $550. And there's still some questions about this cabinet we just don't really know. We're still not 100% sure of what the roster is going to be on the WrestleFest game itself. So, I mean, with the questions that are out there, as far as the Ultra Series goes, I'm not impressed. I'm not interested. Not at a sale price of $500. And especially not at a MSRP of $600. Neither one of these cabinets interests me. I don't recommend you pick them up, but that is, of course, your choice to make. Let's move on to the Counter Series, which is much more egregious in my personal opinion, but I got the facts to back it up. Because if you are looking for any kind of countercade news, history, information, you have come to the right place. Look no further than the 19 Key Fox channel. I have many, many videos covering the countercades because it's my second favorite form factor from RK1UP. They got the uprights, the 3/4 scale. They had a lot of variety there. I wish they would have all gone XL, but 3/4 scale, I'm going to call that XLs. That's sort of the same form factor in my opinion. They made many other form factors that were all failures and ugly and horrible, and in many cases stupid. But the countercades have a special place in my heart because when they first debuted, they lacked some features but began to gain features. And in 2021, we saw the premiere, the debut of the 2-player countercade that was jam-packed with features. It introduced a beautiful 8-inch IPS quality LCD display. It was absolutely beautiful. It had lit marquees, obviously 2 players. It had 4 or 5 games packed in there. And in the case of like the Marvel, countercade, it came packed with some really good games. Marvel vs. Capcom was on it. You had the Punisher. It was a great games list. You also had a USB port, which was supposed to be for another controller, which ended up being a great way to sideload stuff, and hack it. That's always good. And then there was also a headphone jack in case you didn't like the speaker. That was actually pretty good. It was mono, but it was down-firing and provided a lot of bass for the game itself. And that debuted with all those features back in 2021 for $229. Later we saw, unfortunately, that was the peak. Things sort of went down. They dropped off after that. We ended up getting the single player, the regression back to a single player countercade that didn't have a lit marquee, just back to the wood and the sticker. Very sad. Single player, so not 2-player. No headphone jack, no USB port. Games list was about the same. And of course, there was no Wi-Fi in any of these countercades from RK1UP. And the price did drop, though, down to $169. Many people still had a problem with that. And the common thought was, hey, wait till these things get down closer to $100. And that's a pretty good deal because you still had that beautiful 8-inch display. The artwork was pretty good. You still had like a deck protector, and Sanwa-like control. So possible to upgrade it. So I figured wasn't bad at $99. Of course, that was 2023 when we regressed back down to a single-player experience for $169, $170. So where are these countercades now that are very, very comparable to what we saw from RK1UP? Well, the debut price listed on Amazon right now, the MSRP is $250 for a countercade with no lit marquee, with a single-player experience, with no headphone jack, with no USB port, and as far as I can tell, with no deck protector. So it's even less than what we got with the 1-player variant countercade that debuted 2 years ago for $170. Now, the coupon code also came out. Now, this was not $100 off. It was only $50 off. So right now, you can pick this up for $199. And when I say this, I mean there's only 2 variants. Eventually, we're going to have 4 or more. But right now, only 2 are available on the U.S. Amazon website. And it's going to be WWE and, once again, Atari's Centipede. And it's definitely, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes ever. I mean, and this whole product launch has been rough, to say the least. When you're coming out with something that's new, but very similar to an existing product, it's a mixed bag. You're going to jump in with a lot of preconceived notions as far as customers and what we can expect from your product, because our point of reference is RK1UP, a company that was really the only one doing it at that scale, at this space. And your product looks exactly like it. So a company with that, coming with that, is also the price expectation, quality meeting price. We're looking at your list of options and features. In our minds, we already know what that should cost because we've gone through this over and over and over again. It's not just the countercades that kind of went up and down. All the 3/4 scale stuff did the exact same thing. Prices went up and down, features went up and down, and we were getting, much less for the same price, or in many cases, much higher price. So we've already done this. We've gone through this, and we understand what we're willing to pay for these cabinets. And right now, as I sit here, even with the price being reduced to $500 for the Ultra or $200 for these countercades, I don't recommend you buy any of this stuff. I don't recommend you buy any of them at all. These prices are nowhere near where they should be for basically the gamble you're going to have to take with an unknown product. Now, they do have some upper management, upper leadership on the marketing side from Arcade1Up. We did see Cyrus move from Arcade1Up over to Basic Fun. So is Cyrus to blame for these higher prices? Who can say? Who can know? If you're looking to blame somebody, he's probably a good guy to blame. But I think the whole launch has just been, unfortunately, just a misguided effort. And it's really sad because it was sort of teed up. You have the perfect situation as long as you don't screw this up. And the only way you could really screw this up is have bad licensing that no one cares about. Well, you kind of hit it out of the park with WrestleFest, coming out the gate with at least one new product. You got to have a quality that matches a pre-existing product, which from all our videos and images that we've seen so far, no hands-on yet, it would appear they're about on par with Arcade1Up. But you got to have the price. The price has to be within reason because you have a pre-existing fan base, which is great because that's a pre-existing customer base. But all these customers have these preconceived notions about what we're going to get and what we're going to pay to get it. And in my opinion, these prices just aren't it. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Were you disappointed in the pricing, or is it exactly what you expected? Are tariffs to blame? Is it inflation? I mean, who knows? But at the end of the day, are you willing to spend this much money on these products? Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. You have a blessed day, and I will see all of you next time. $200. Come on. Basic Fun. How could you mess it up? It's basic.